All right, welcome to a video on graphing slope-intercept form. So I got a pizza cooking in the background, so you may hear that timer go off. So we're going to start by just going over what slope is. So slope is the letter we call m in an equation. It's the rise and the run of our lines. Rise meaning the up and down, running meaning the left and right. The y-intercept, also called b, is where our graph crosses the y-axis. So all of our graphs that we're going to deal with are going to cross the y-axis, and we call that the y-intercept, or b, in our slope-intercept form. So our actual slope-intercept form looks like this. Y equals mx plus b. So m is the slope, and b is our y-intercept. And we're just going to start out by practicing identifying those in a couple examples. So example 1 says y equals 1/2 x minus 2. So a good way to remember these is that your slope is always the number with your x, and our slope is always a fraction. So our slope is always a fraction. Whenever we write it out. Right now it already is a fraction, so we can say that our slope is 1/2, and then our y-intercept, our b, is -2. So this is our slope, this is our y-intercept. In our second example here, it's going to look a little different. It's going to say y equals -2x equals 4. So in order to do this, it must be in y equals. So it must be in y equals. So we have to add 2x to both sides. So we get y equals 2x plus 4. Now we can find our m and b. We can find our slope and our y-intercept. So our slope is 2, and this has to be a fraction, so it's 2 divided by 1. And then our y-intercept is 4. All right, and I'm going to pause the video now and add in some new stuff for you to write. All right, now we're actually going to start graphing some actual lines. So here are the graphing rules that are steps that we should follow. They're not really rules. These are steps to help you with your graphing. So first thing, we have to make sure it's y equals mx plus b. We have to make sure it's in the right form. Then we have to identify our m and our b. We have to identify what the slope is and what the y-intercept is. That's why it's called slope-intercept form. Then we get to plot our b, our y-intercept, on the y-axis. So your first thought's always going to go on the y-axis. Then we use our slope to plot 2 new points from b and then draw our line. So we're going to use that rise and run to draw a line. So the first example we are going to do says y equals 1/2 x minus 1. So step 1, it's in y equals mx plus b. So we don't have to do anything. For step 2, we have to say what m equals and what b equals. Didn't mean to write anything there. So for here, our m equals 1/2 and our b equals -1. The next thing we have to do is plot B. So we're going to plot -1 on the y-axis. So that's step 3. Plot B. So we have to bring our graph into play here. We need to remember that the x-axis is the one that goes left and right, and the y-axis is the one that goes up and down. So we have to put a dot at -1 on the y-axis. Now this is the thing that gets messed up the most. So you really need to make sure that you understand that that first dot goes on your y-axis. Now we get to use slope. So our m is 1/2. So that is a +1. +1 means we go up. +2 means we go to the right 2. So for step 4, we are going to go up 1, right 2. So we go up 1, right 2, put a dot, up 1, right 2, put a dot. And we could go and do that, across, but I only expect you to do 2. And then we can draw our line, and our line doesn't have to be perfect. It's the dots that I'm really looking at. So there's our first slope-intercept form. Now we're going to do another example. This one says y equals -2x plus 3. Once this gets all nice and clean, there we go. So we're going to follow the same steps. It's already in. So it's in y equals mx plus b. So now we get to identify m and b. So our m is -2, but it's -2 divided by 1. It's got to be a fraction. Then our b equals 3. So this is step 2. Identify m equals and b equals. Step 3 now. So now we're going to plot +3 on the y-axis. Because step 3 says to plot b. So on our new graph here, and I always like to draw in the y and the x-axis just so I don't forget myself. We're going to put it at +3 on the y. And then we get to use our m, our slope. So m equals -2 divided by 1. Our rise, a negative, means we're going to go down. And a positive down here on the bottom means we're going to go to the right. So for step 4, we're going to go down 2, right 1. So down 2, right 1, down 2, right 1. And again, we could keep going, but we won't. And there's other little tricks here too that we're going to talk about actually in class. So there we go. There's our video on graphing in slope-intercept form.